The keys felt heavier than they should have. 32 years of wait, I suppose. 32 years of early mornings, late nights, calloused hands, and the smell of garlic and oregano baked into my skin. I held them out across the desk, and my son Kevin looked at them like I was handing him a live grenade. Really, Dad? The whole keychain? Even the one with the embarrassing bottle opener? I smiled. Tried to, anyway. Everything, son. Brennan's is yours now. He took them. Didn't even look at me when he did it. Just snatched them up and started separating the restaurant key from his personal keys right there. Like he couldn't wait to reorganize my life's work into something more convenient for his pocket. I'm Thomas Brennan, 68 years old as of last March. Built Brennan's family kitchen from a single location in Athens, Georgia, back in 1992 into a 6-restaurant chain across the Southeast. Nothing fancy, just honest food, fair prices, and treating people right. My father taught me that. His father taught him. The Brennan way. Kevin's 35 now, got his MBA from Emory. Spent 10 years in corporate consulting, making more money than I'd ever seen, working for companies I couldn't pronounce. When he called me 2 years ago saying he wanted to come home, wanted to learn the family business, I cried. Actually cried. My wife, Maria, had to take the phone from me. Dad, you okay? You're doing that staring thing again. I blinked. We were still in my office, my former office, the one above the flagship location in Athens, where this whole thing started. Same desk my father used, same filing cabinets, same coffee stain on the carpet from 2003 when I dropped an entire pot celebrating our 4th location opening. Just thinking, I said. This is a big moment. It's just keys, Dad. Just keys. I'd spent 2 years training him, walking him through every aspect of the operation. How we sourced our ingredients from local farms, why we paid our kitchen staff above market rate, the importance of knowing every employee's name, their kids' names, what they were dealing with at home. The Brennan way wasn't just about food. It was about family, community. Kevin nodded through all of it, took notes, asked smart questions. I thought he got it. So, I've been working on some ideas, Kevin said, pulling out his laptop, for modernizing operations. Already? I laughed. I haven't even cleaned out my desk yet. Strike while the iron's hot, right? He didn't laugh back, just opened a PowerPoint presentation. I've identified several areas where we're leaving money on the table. The first slide said Brennan's 2, a roadmap to profitability. Something in my chest tightened. See, Dad, the problem is you've been running this place on sentiment instead of data. I've crunched the numbers, and we can increase margins by 15 to 20% with some strategic changes. Strategic changes? First, the local sourcing. It's killing us. We can cut food costs by 30%, switching to a national distributor. Cisco's given me a great quote. I felt my jaw clench. We've used Henderson Family Farms for 20 years. Jim Henderson is not running a charity, Dad. Neither are we. This is business. What else? He clicked to the next slide. Staffing optimization. We're overstaffed by industry standards. I can reduce labor costs by 23% through strategic scheduling. And, you mean cutting people's hours? I mean running efficiently. Look, Dad, I know you like to play patriarch to every line cook and dishwasher, but we can't afford to be sentimental. Maria Gonzalez doesn't need 40 hours a week. She can get by on 25. Maria's been with us for 12 years. She's got 3 kids, and that's very sad, but it's not our responsibility. This is a business, not a welfare program. I stood up, slowly. My knee creaked, the one I blew out slipping on ice outside the Marietta location in 2015. Kevin, son, sit down a minute. Dad, I know this is hard to hear, but sit down. He sat, finally looked at me, really looked at me. When I started Brennan's, I had $1,200 and a dream. You know what made the difference? What made people come back week after week, year after year? The meatloaf recipe? They came back because they knew us, because we knew them, because when Jim Martinez lost his job, we kept hiring him to do maintenance, even when we didn't need it, because when the Johnsons' house burned down, we catered their church fundraiser for free. Because we're not just a restaurant, Kevin. We're part of the community. Kevin nodded, but I could see it. That look, the one I'd seen in boardrooms and business meetings. The patient smile that says, okay. Boomer. Dad, that's beautiful. Really. But it's also why you've plateaued. You've built a great foundation. Now let me scale it. Scale it? 6 locations in 32 years? Dad, with the right strategy, we could have 60 in 5 years. I don't want 60 locations. Well, I do. He stood up, closing his laptop. Look, you asked me to take over. You're retiring. That means this is my call now, right? The keys were still on the desk between us. He picked them up, slipped them into his pocket. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, Dad. I'm just being realistic. The restaurant industry is brutal. We need to adapt or die. And your way? It's outdated. It's inefficient. He paused, looking for the word. It's over. He left. I stood there for 20 minutes, maybe longer. The sun moved across the floor. Someone knocked on the door twice, but I didn't answer. That was 3 months ago. I didn't retire. Couldn't. Told Maria I'd do consulting work, help Kevin transition. Really, I just couldn't let go. Couldn't stop checking in on the restaurants. Couldn't stop calling managers, asking how things were going. They were honest with me. They'd known me too long not to be. The changes started immediately. Kevin switched to the national distributor, cut staff hours, implemented a new dynamic pricing system that changed menu prices based on demand, removed the community bulletin board from the Athens location because it wasn't on brand, stopped the free coffee for seniors on Sunday mornings because it encouraged loitering. Mr. Brennan, I have to tell you, Patricia Henderson said when I called. Patricia managed our Marietta location, had been there since we opened it in 2005. It's not the same anymore. People notice. Notice what? Everything. The food tastes different. The portions are smaller. The new computer system Kevin installed times our table turns. We get penalties if customers stay too long. Yesterday, I had to tell the Mitchells. You remember the Mitchells? Come in every Friday for 15 years. I had to tell them they needed to leave because they were past their 90-minute table limit. He did what? Kevin says we're optimizing table turnover. But Mr. Brennan, the Mitchells left crying. They're 83 years old. They don't have anywhere else to go on Friday nights. I made calls. The other managers told similar stories. Employee morale was tanking. Regular customers were disappearing. The Athens location's online reviews had dropped from 4.8 stars to 3.2 stars in 3 months. But Kevin was happy. Because the numbers looked good, on paper at least. Margins were up, labor costs were down. He sent me weekly reports with graphs and charts showing our optimization progress. He didn't send me the customer retention numbers. I had to dig for those myself. They were down 37%. I tried talking to him, called him for lunch. Dad, I'm pretty busy. Can we do this another time? It's important, Kevin. He sighed. Fine, but I only have 45 minutes. We met at a place downtown, not Brennan's. Kevin said he needed a break from the brand. I showed him the customer retention data, the employee satisfaction surveys I'd quietly conducted, the online reviews. He barely looked at them. Dad, you're cherry-picking data to fit your narrative. Yes, we're going through some growing pains. That's normal during a restructuring. But look at the financial metrics. We're more profitable than we've ever been. For how long? Kevin, we're losing our base. The people who've supported us for decades are dying off anyway. Sorry to be blunt, but it's true. We need to attract a younger demographic. Millennials, Gen Z. They want efficiency, convenience, Instagram-worthy presentations. Not some nostalgic 1,990 seconds time capsule. This isn't a time capsule. This is our identity. Your identity, Dad, not mine. And honestly, your whole community family approach, it's condescending. It's paternalistic. These employees don't need you to be their savior. They need a competitive wage and clear performance metrics. I gave them both. You gave them handouts and false hope. I'm giving them a professional work environment. The waiter brought our food. Kevin had ordered some deconstructed salad thing that cost $22. I had a burger, It was mediocre. You know what I think? Kevin said, spearing a piece of kale. I think you can't handle not being needed. You built this whole thing on being the benevolent patriarch, and now that you're not in charge, you can't accept it. That's not... It is, though. You call the managers behind my back. You show up at the restaurants, just checking in. You're undermining me, Dad. You're making it impossible for me to lead. I'm trying to help. I don't need your help. I need you to let go. He finished his lunch in 33 minutes. I timed it. He had a meeting to get to, he said. Important investors. I sat there for another hour. The waiter kept refilling my coffee. Nice kid. Studying at UGA. Wanted to be a teacher. We talked about his classes, his family back in Dalton. He reminded me why I loved this business. The people. Always the people. The next month was worse. Kevin started talking about expansion. He'd met with private equity firms. They loved his vision, he said. Brennan's too could scale nationally. He was looking at franchise opportunities. There was serious money interested. We're talking 8-figure valuations, Dad. Can you believe it? I could believe it. I could also believe that none of those investors had ever eaten at Brennan's. Had never met Maria Gonzalez or Jim Henderson or Patricia Henderson or any of the hundreds of people who'd made this business possible. Kevin started bringing in consultants. They walked through the restaurants with clipboards and tablets, taking notes, making recommendations. More cuts, more optimization, more efficiency. The Athens location started piping in corporate-approved Spotify playlists instead of letting the staff choose the music. The handwritten daily specials board was replaced with a digital screen. The photos of local Little League teams and church groups came down. Clutter, the consultants called it. I stopped sleeping well. Maria would find me at 3 a.m., sitting at the kitchen table, looking at spreadsheets, reading reviews, trying to figure out how to fix this. Tommy, you have to let him make his own mistakes, she said. What if his mistakes destroy everything? Then that's his burden to carry, not yours. But it was mine. Every employee who lost hours was mine. Every regular customer who stopped coming was mine. Every piece of what made Brennan special that got stripped away that was mine too, because I'd handed him the keys. The breaking point came on a Tuesday in October. I got a call from David Chen. David had been our head chef at the Athens location for 18 years. Started as a line cook when he was 23. I'd gone to his wedding, both of his kids' baptisms. Mr. Brennan, I'm calling to let you know I'm putting in my 2 weeks. My stomach dropped. David, what happened? Kevin brought in a new kitchen manager, guy from some corporate restaurant group. He watched me prep for 3 hours yesterday, then told me I was doing everything wrong. Gave me a list of efficiency improvements. Pre-chopped vegetables from the distributor. Pre-made sauces. Microwave reheating for the pasta dishes. He what? I told him no. Told him that's not how we do things at Brennan's. He said, it is now. Got Kevin on the phone. Kevin backed him up. Said I either adapt to the new standards or I can leave. David, I'm leaving, Mr. Brennan. I'm sorry. I love this place. Loved it. But it's not the same anymore. And I can't put my name on food I'm not proud of. He wasn't the only one. 3 more employees quit that week. 2 of them had been with us for over a decade. I called Kevin. He didn't answer. I texted. Nothing. I drove to the Athens location. He wasn't there. Finally caught him at his condo that evening. Dad, this isn't a good time. David Chen quit. I know. He wasn't adaptable. We'll find someone better. Someone better? Kevin, David was holding us back. Look, I know you're attached to all these people, but this is business. Deadweight has to go. Deadweight? David? The man who created our signature ribeye sauce? Which we're phasing out anyway. The new supplier has a similar product that's 40% cheaper. I stared at him. At my son, trying to find something familiar in his face. Some trace of the kid who used to help me count the register at night. Who used to taste test new recipes and give me honest feedback. Who used to know every regular customer by name. What happened to you? I said quietly. I grew up, Dad. I stopped being sentimental. I learned how the real world works. This is the real world, Kevin. This restaurant, these people, This is as real as it gets." He laughed. Actually laughed. "Dad, you're living in a fantasy. This whole 'we're a family' thing, it's manipulation. It's how you kept wages low while making people feel grateful. I'm actually being more honest than you ever were. I pay market rate. I set clear expectations, and I don't pretend we're anything other than what we are, a business. We were never just a business. To you, maybe, but to me, to investors, to customers who just want a decent meal at a fair price, we're exactly that, and the sooner you accept it, the happier you'll be in retirement." He closed the door. I stood in the hallway of his condo building, listening to the echo of the lock clicking into place. I drove home, didn't remember the drive. Maria found me sitting in the car in our driveway an hour later. "It's gone," I told her. "Everything we built, he's destroying it." She held my hand, didn't say anything. What could she say? I couldn't sleep that night. Kept thinking about David Chen, about Maria Gonzalez, about all the people who'd believed in Brennan's because we believed in them. Kept thinking about the Mitchells, crying because they'd been kicked out of their Friday night ritual. Kept thinking about my father, who'd taught me that business was about more than profit. About my grandfather, who'd run a corner store during the Depression and extended credit to neighbors who couldn't pay, even when it meant we went hungry some nights. The Brennan way. And then I thought about something else, something Kevin had mentioned. Private equity, 8-figure valuations. I started making calls. It took 6 weeks. Quiet meetings, discreet conversations, NDAs and term sheets and negotiations. Maria thought I was crazy. Maybe I was. But I also knew something Kevin didn't. I still owned 60% of Brennan's. When I'd transferred control to Kevin, I'd given him operational authority, made him CEO. But I'd kept the majority stake. Told myself it was just a formality. A safety net in case something went wrong. Something had definitely gone wrong. The buyer was Regional Hospitality Partners. They owned 43 restaurants across the Southeast. Family-style places, mostly. They'd been interested in Brennan's for years, but I'd always turned them down. "We'd want to keep the current operational model," their CEO told me. A woman named Sarah Thornton, probably 55, sharp as a tack. "That's what makes Brennan's valuable. The community relationships, the local sourcing, the employee loyalty. We've watched your son's changes over the past few months, and frankly, we're concerned. He's destroying the brand's core value proposition. That's why I'm calling you. We'd keep the name, keep the recipes, bring back the former practices, reach out to employees who've left and see if they'd return. We understand what makes Brennan's work, Mr. Brennan. We don't want to change it. We want to protect it. And the price? $4.2 million for your 60% stake, cash offer. We'd give your son the option to stay on as a minority stakeholder, or we'd buy him out at market rate. I had my lawyer review everything. Took 2 weeks to finalize. The whole time, Kevin had no idea. He was too busy with his optimization strategies and efficiency consultants and franchise roadmaps. The signing happened on a Thursday morning in Atlanta. Sarah Thornton and her team, my lawyer, me. I signed 37 pages. By noon, I no longer owned Brennan's family kitchen. I'd never felt so relieved and so heartbroken at the same time. Kevin found out that afternoon. I'd told Regional to inform him formally, but I wanted to be there. Felt like I owed him that much. He walked into my house, our house, Maria's and mine, at 4:30. His face was red. I couldn't tell if it was anger or if he'd been crying. "You sold it." His voice was flat. "You sold my company." "My company, Kevin. I still owned 60%. You gave it to me. You stood in that office and handed me the keys and said it was mine. I gave you operational control. I never transferred ownership. There's a difference. That's a technicality. A loophole. It's the law, son. Something I'm sure you understand, with all your consultant friends." He paced across the living room, hands in his hair. "This is insane. Do you know what you've done? I had investors lined up. We were going to franchise. We could have built something massive. We already had something massive. You tore it apart. I was improving it. You were destroying it." My voice got louder than I intended. "David Chen quit. Patricia is looking for other jobs. We lost 37% of our regular customers. You fired people who'd been loyal to us for decades. You kicked the Mitchells out for staying too long at their table. Those were business decisions. They were cruel. They were short-sighted. They were everything Brennan's never was. Kevin stopped pacing. Looked at me with something I'd never seen before. Not just anger. Something deeper. Something broken. "I can't believe you did this," he said quietly. "I came home for you. I left my career, my life, everything for you. Because you asked me to. Because you said you needed me. I did need you. I needed my son. The one who cared about people. Not some MBA robot who thinks everything's a spreadsheet. You needed a puppet. You wanted me to run things exactly like you did. God forbid I have my own ideas. My own vision. Your vision was killing everything we'd built." "We? We?" he laughed. But there was no humor in it. "There is no we, Dad. There never was. It was always your show. Your way or the highway. And the second I tried to do something different, you couldn't handle it. So you sold out from under me. I saved it from you." The silence that followed was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. Kevin grabbed his jacket. "How much did you get?" "That's not—" "How much, Dad?" $4.2 million. He nodded slowly. "Congratulations. I hope it was worth it." "Kevin, don't. Just don't." He left. The door didn't slam. That would have been easier somehow. It just clicked shut, soft and final. Maria came downstairs. She'd been listening from the bedroom. "You did the right thing," she said. "Then why does it feel like I just made the worst mistake of my life?" She didn't have an answer for that. Regional hospitality took over the following week. They moved fast, brought back the local suppliers, rehired the employees Kevin had cut, reached out to David Chen with a formal apology and a significant raise to return as executive chef. He accepted. They kept the Brennan name, kept the recipes, brought back the community bulletin boards and the free senior coffee and the daily specials board. Within 2 months, customer reviews started climbing again. Regulars started coming back. The Mitchells returned for their Friday night dinner. Patricia called to tell me. Said they cried again, but this time from happiness. Kevin didn't speak to me for 3 months. Didn't answer calls. Didn't respond to texts. Maria tried reaching out through his girlfriend. Nothing. I had $4.2 million, and I'd never felt poorer. Then, on Christmas Eve, he showed up. Didn't call ahead. Just knocked on the door around 7 p.m. "Can I come in?" Maria made herself scarce. We sat in the living room. The same room where he'd called me insane 4 months earlier. "I got a job," he said. "Corporate strategy for a tech company in Austin. Good pay. Room for advancement." That's good, son." "Yeah." He picked at the arm of the couch. "I'm leaving in 2 weeks. "Oh." More silence. "I've been thinking a lot," Kevin said finally. "About what happened. About what you did." "Kevin, let me finish. Please." He took a breath. "I was angry. Really angry. Felt betrayed. Humiliated. Like you'd undermined everything I was trying to build. I understand why you... But I drove by the Athens location last week. Just to see. And it was packed. Like, line out the door packed. And I looked through the window, and people were laughing. Families. Old couples. I saw the Mitchells at their usual table." He stopped. Cleared his throat. "I realized something. Everyone looked happy. Happier than they'd been when I was running things. And I had to ask myself why. What was different? I waited." "You were right," he said quietly. "Not about everything, but about the important things. I got so caught up in the numbers, in proving I could scale and optimize and modernize, that I forgot what made Brennan's matter in the first place. Kevin, I treated people like inputs in a formula, metrics to be optimized. And you know what? It worked. On paper, we were more profitable, more efficient, but we weren't better. We were just cheaper, meaner. And that's not what you built. That's not what Grandpa would have wanted." My eyes were burning. "You were trying to help. I know that. I was trying to prove something. To myself, maybe. That I was smart enough, good enough. That I could do it better than you. But better isn't always about profit margins, is it? No, son, it's not. I'm sorry, he said, for what I did to the business, to the employees, to you. I'm sorry, too, for going behind your back, for not trusting you to figure it out on your own, for not being patient. You were protecting something that mattered. I get that now. We sat there for a while. Maria eventually came in with coffee and cookies. We didn't talk much more about business. Talked about Austin. About his girlfriend, apparently. They were getting serious. About plans for Christmas dinner tomorrow. He left around 9. Hugged me at the door. First time in months. Dad, for what it's worth, 4.2 million was probably low. You could have gotten more. I laughed. Probably, but you weren't selling for the money, were you? No, I was selling to save it. He nodded. Understood. I still see him. Not as much as I'd like. Austin's not close. But we talk. Email. He came back for Thanksgiving. We drove by the Athens location together. David Chen made us his signature ribeye. Kevin admitted it was better than the pre-made sauce he'd tried to implement. Sarah Thornton sends me quarterly reports on how Brennan's is doing. They've opened 2 more locations, both using the original model, community-focused, locally sourced, fair wages. They're profitable. Not as profitable as Kevin's version might have been in the short term, but sustainable, growing at a human pace. I think about that day sometimes. The day I handed Kevin the keys. How heavy they felt. How I thought I was giving him something precious, and he thought I was giving him just keys. We were both right, and both wrong. The keys were precious. But they weren't just metal. They were responsibility, legacy, trust. The weight of every person whose life depended on the decisions you made with them. Kevin wasn't ready for that weight. Maybe I wasn't ready to let it go. Maybe we both needed to learn some hard lessons. I don't regret selling. I regret that it came to that I couldn't find a way to help Kevin see what he was losing before he lost it, that I couldn't bridge the gap between his vision and mine without burning everything down and rebuilding. But sometimes, that's how it goes. Sometimes you have to lose something to understand its value. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is letting them see the consequences of their choices. Kevin called me last week, said he's been thinking about opening his own place someday. Something small, community-focused. I think I finally get it, Dad. What you were trying to teach me. What's that? That business isn't about profit. It's about people. And if you take care of the people, the profit takes care of itself. I smiled. Your grandfather used to say that. Maybe I should have listened to him. And to you, you're listening now. That's what matters. The keys are long gone, melted down into whatever regional hospitality uses now. But the lesson remains, heavy and precious, and worth every ounce of heartbreak it costs to learn. The Brennan way lives on, just not under a Brennan anymore, and somehow that's okay.